And we now welcome on a special guest to the show, Saint for Life, Zemgus Girgensons. And Zemgus, thanks for taking the time to join us.
No, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I feel like I've started every interview asking people this, but what are you doing right now to keep yourself occupied?
That's a tough question. There's not much you can do besides kind of work out, go for some walks, mix in a run. We did build a house last summer, so we've been doing some house projects, and we did get a coronavirus puppy, so we have a new puppy.
There you go. What type of puppy is it? What type of breed?
It's a mini dachshund and Chihuahua mix.
There you go. Yeah, that definitely keeps you – that and building the house will certainly keep you occupied at least enough. In terms of the hockey side of things, how much involvement or communication have you had with the team? Have the strength and conditioning coaches been sending out weight requirements or things like that, or what has the communication been like?
Oh, the staff has been great with us. We've had trainers, physical guy checking in every week and giving us workouts, how to keep in shape, rehab if you had some injuries. So they've been on top of us, and it's been pretty good with that.
Have you been talking with some of your teammates as to what they're doing also, how everyone else has tried to stay occupied?
You know what? I haven't talked too much. I think you're just kind of in the bubble of your own home right now. A little bit of chat here and there, but definitely not about working out. You don't talk.
In terms of the season as a whole, and I guess I'm not asking for like the insider scoop of what the NHL is doing, but has there been a general message from the league or from your team as to what might happen when things could get restarted, anything like that?
I have no idea. I mean, the messages, stay home until further notice. It's been just keep getting pushed back by a couple of weeks. So just waiting for the time. If we can come back or not, you try to stay in the best shape you can and be ready if it picks back up.
Obviously, you've been working out. Have you been able to do any sort of hockey drills as well to keep those skills up and ready?
I got a stick handling mat downstairs, so I've been doing a little bit of that. Do not have a net. I do have neighbors that have a couple of kids, so I've been playing a little hockey with them sometimes, so that's been good.
There you go. And in terms of the season as a whole, obviously it was paused for you. You played in 69 games. Personally, and then as a team, what are your thoughts on the season up until it was suspended?
Still disappointing the where we were at where it ended. We were out of the playoff picture, and that was our goal this season, last season, whatever you call it. But no, I think the team was definitely built pretty good together. It just we came up a little short. We just have a little work to do, and I think next year we should be right there in the mix for the playoffs.
For you personally, what were your thoughts on the way you had performed this season? Maybe a couple things that you wanted to even improve on moving forward?
Well, I think I played my role pretty well on the team. I had my line there with Larson Ockpo, so I think we played pretty well, pretty consistent throughout the year. So I think the biggest disappointment was just a team result that we didn't make the playoffs.
You've now been in the league for 7 seasons, all of them with the Buffalo Sabres. So you're a full-fledged veteran now in the league. Do you feel that in certain aspects of your game? Are you able to think it much better than you were a couple years ago? Or are certain things growing like that because of all that experience?
Yeah, definitely. The more games you play, the more confident, calm you get. Whether it is making plays or just being smarter, physical. I know my first years, I try to run through the boards, and you sometimes you learn the hard way. You get banged up, but no, definitely the more you play, the more time kind of is in your head, just slowing down the game.
What are a couple of things you know now that you really had no way of preparing for the first time you stepped onto the ice at the NHL level?
Just how fast things happen. I think that's one of the biggest things. Really, to slow down the game in your head is hard, and the way guys make decisions, it's in split seconds, and I think that was the hardest part.
You've been with the Sabres, obviously, as I mentioned, your entire career. What has it meant to spend your career with the Buffalo Sabres, and what has that organization meant to you as a player?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I've been with Buffalo since the start, and it's hard to describe it, but it kind of becomes your family. You're so much around there. I spent my first 5 seasons all summers in Buffalo too, so it's definitely awesome that I've got to spend all the 7 years with Buffalo, and it's just hard feeling to describe.
As a veteran on a team of more or less younger players for the Sabres, you might be more of a leadership role now. Were there players when you first came into the league on the Sabres that you kind of learned from to maybe dictate how you're helping lead some of the younger guys now?
I had I'm pretty sure I have the record of most teammates. I think I had like 120 or something teammates in 7 years. So I've had a lot of leaders in my in the span. But no, Matt Molson. I mean, so Okposo's still there. I always looked up to him. We had Steve Odd. We had even Matt Ellis. I worked out with him last couple of summers, and there's just a bunch of. There's too many guys to name. There's every year there's some guy that you take something from.
I got to ask you, because this was a big year for the Sabres in terms of, I believe it was the 50th anniversary. So you guys unveiled those brand new jerseys, the white jerseys with the gold trim. I mean, the first time I saw those jerseys, absolutely loved them. Was that the general consensus in the locker room too? I thought they were pretty sharp.
No, yeah, definitely my favorite jerseys so far. I don't know why, but playing them feels like you have more skill. I don't know why. That's how it feels. No, I putting that a white one on is a good feeling.
Yeah, I don't know why either, but I would assume that's how I would feel too wearing one of those. Those are pretty sweet threads.
Yeah.
You're originally from Riga, Latvia, and Latvia is a hockey country, but not in the same scope as obviously Canada or Sweden or the United States. Lesser people from there. You've represented Latvia a lot internationally. What has that experience meant for you to be able to represent your country at the hockey level?
Oh, hockey is I think the biggest sport back home. Everyone watches the World Championships come. Everyone's tuned in that, and anytime I get to play for Team Latvia, it's an honor. I've tried to do it every time I can. I miss a couple World Championships, but I'm always there for them.
And just because they're not mentioned in the same breath as Canada, you mentioned it's the biggest sport back in Latvia. Can you just convey to people who might not know exactly what hockey looks like in Latvia how big of a deal it is for your country?
Well, just the fact I think that we're in top division and World Championships, and I mean our country only has 2 million people, so you compare that to any other countries. That's I think pretty impressive that we have never fallen out of it, and we always stayed in the top division.
Being from Latvia, there aren't a ton of Latvian-born players in the NHL, but is that still a dream that almost everyone growing up holds in Latvia just because of how many people play hockey?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, growing up, you look up to the guys playing in NHL, and it's something that everyone plays for. That's the ultimate goal. Winning Stanley Cup. That's the next goal. But I mean, we have a little bit more Latvians now. I was their dry one for a while. I was the only one. Now we got we have like four, I think. So it was a pretty good year for Latvia in NHL.
You're third amongst Latvian-born players in terms of career NHL points. Is that ever something you look at or something that you take personal pride in?
I actually did not know that. I would assume Ozolinj and Joltox is number two.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I never even thought about it, never looked at it.
For your entire career with Buffalo, as I said, you said the city and the organization means so much to you. What's maybe your favorite part about Buffalo that not many people would know from an outsider's perspective?
But Buffalo is an interesting city. I mean, the people are great people there. I think if you just drive through Buffalo, you wouldn't think twice about it again. But if you get to spend more time in it, you kind of start liking it more and more. And when you spend that long of a time as I have, it's a good city. I love it.
Buffalo's got a great fan base. What's it like playing for you in front of those fans every single night?
Even if we've struggled for a lot of years here. I mean, this last year was probably the better ones we've had, and fans still show up and still support us, and I mean that's big for the team. It's not easy to come around with that sometimes, and it's nice that they were supporting us all the way.
Before we move on to talk about Dubuque, just a couple quick hits for you about the NHL in general. Outside of Buffalo, what's your favorite barn to play in the NHL?
Favorite barn? I would say Nashville, Chicago. I mean, Vegas can't beat that now. That's you go out there in warm-ups, you're buzzing already in warm-ups, so that's a fun place to play.
How
So,
about just favorite NHL city to visit, or a couple favorite cities? Not maybe what's going on the ice, but if you have some free time to be able to visit.
I mean, it's always nice to go West Coast if it's middle of the season, so that's always nice break. But I think Chicago, Boston would be my top two cities that I really like.
Moving forward to a city that I'm sure is one of your favorite cities as well, Dubuque being of the USHL, where you got your start in junior hockey. You were part of the first team back in Dubuque, 2010, 2011. Before we get into that team, though, overall, kind of describe what your time like in those 2 years was with Dubuque.
Well, I think that was my most important time in my career. I mean, those 2 years really took my game to the next level. That's I think that's where I grew the most in all around hockey, off the ice, everything. It was just great experience winning the cup first year. Second year being a part of the team. I mean, we didn't get to the cup, but it was still a good run. And just being around great people. I mean, I had two great roommates, Yoki Ryan, Eric Freshy, and all the teammates I had. And my builds were awesome. I mean, it's like 2 years that I'll never forget.
You mentioned that second year. A lot of players on this year's Dubuque team came back for a second year. Team had a lot of success. Can you describe how important that second year of junior hockey was for your development and not just doing one and done?
I think first year you're kind of a little nervous. It's the same as being in NHL for a longer time. I think it just moves a little bit quicker in junior. Being that second year veteran, I mean, it gives you more confidence. You can be a leader for the younger guys coming in. And I think it's just the confidence boost that you get it on the ice and off the ice. So it's definitely a good thing to have.
You mentioned that first year team where you win the Clark Cup. Coming in as a junior hockey player and being part of something completely new, when did you have a feeling of, hey, this is something pretty special, this is a pretty special group of players?
I think it was pretty much right away when we had our team events. I mean, everyone clicked right away. I think the coaching staff, Jimmy, and all the other coaches did a great job of bringing that guys together and understanding that it's a kind of team game.
And you got to play with some great players, but obviously one of the most notable alums from that team is Johnny Gaudreau. Having grown up with Johnny and now both of you being in the NHL, what's it like to see it grow from junior hockey in Dubuque all the way to the biggest stage of hockey?
No, it's awesome. I mean, he's having so much success. He's a great player. I mean, every time I play against him, it's fun. I still haven't been able to hit him, I don't think. I think I hit him once. He's a slippery kid. So, no, it's fun seeing him do the success he's doing, and it's always fun to play against him.
Were you ever able to line him up in practice in Dubuque, or did you not able to get him there either?
No, I never got him. I mean, I read the article once that he's like, can't hit the kid, and then I remember in juniors, I was like, I'm going to try to hit him in practice, and nope, doesn't happen.
You mentioned a big jump from year one to year two in junior hockey, and I think you said this at the start of the call, but you still feel like that was the biggest jump you've taken developmentally at any point of your career, or was there another year in the NHL where you felt, hey, everything's clicked, this is the biggest jump I've taken?
Well, for me, biggest jump definitely was going from USHL to AHL. That was I think that's a tough jump for anyone at 18. But I think my skill-wise on the ice and being a locker room guy, I think that 2 years in Dubuque really took a step to understand what it means to be a team player and what to be just a good hockey player.
Outside of the obvious with that Clark Cup victory and the great teams you played on, what are one or two memories that really stick out to you from your time with the Fighting Saints those 2 years?
I think my first year definitely was the guys getting together. We pretty much got together every Saturday, pretty much the whole team, and it was whether it was like playing video games or just being together. I think that was one of the best things. I think that was a big part why we won the cup. So I think that's the greatest memory I've had from that.
you're still to date the highest drafted Fighting Saint in the team's history. I know hockey players aren't big on individual accomplishments, but how does that feel to still know that you were the highest taken Fighting Saint in any NHL draft?
No, it's definitely a good feeling, but I think if they did a redraft, Johnny might jump up a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit, but he's continued. I think that's how Johnny would like it, right? Continue to prove people wrong at every step of the way. That's what he's been doing. A couple more questions for you, and again, thank you for taking the time to do this today. But the first time we were able to meet was main camp. You came back for the main camp last summer, and I believe you said that was your first time back in Dubuque since you had played for the team. So what was it like coming back from Dubuque and experiencing a camp that you weren't playing in, rather you were watching?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, I flew in Chicago, and I've done that drive before when I played. So when I was driving, you know, you kind of just get the chills. Going down a highway and then pulling into the city, you know, it brought back a lot of memories. And pulling in the city, it's still, you know, I remember like yesterday. I mean, the city has improved a little bit, but you know, I still same vision. I remember it the way it was, and it was a good feeling.
And final question for you is, now that you're part of an NHL team, obviously played for Dubuque, you've decided to invest back in the Fighting Saints. When you made that decision, what was the biggest driving force behind that for you as why you decided to do that?
I just think the way the organization is. I mean, it's a organization where winning is kind of expected. The quality of the players, not just on the ice but off the ice, is highly expected too. So I think just a high class of all around is why I wanted to get back into it, and it helped me so much. The player I am and the person I am. So that was why I wanted to give it back.
Well, we appreciate all you've done for the Fighting Saints organization and continue to do. And hopefully we're watching you back out on the ice for a continuation of this NHL season. We're hoping that we get to watch more Fighting Saints in the NHL this year. Zemgus Girgensons, a Saint for life. Thanks very much for taking the time to do this today, and take it easy.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Yeah, thanks. You too.